Welcome back. Let's continue our discussion on residential mortgages. Right, so I had a couple of more questions. That's good. Somebody's watching our program, which is very good. I got a question about the documents required. So, when we meet the client, of course, we have to do all our money laundering checks and due diligence checks and who you are. Also, of course, the taking ID, passport, copy of driving license, any utility bill in your name as a proof of address. Apart from that, there are quite a few information which is required for us to assess your mortgage requirements and the criteria so that we can match it to the right lender. Now, main thing is that in terms of income, let's talk about that. That was the specific question. In terms of income, if you are a self-employed, we need your tax returns if you have a multiple sources of income generated, because in tax return it will explain that it is earned income, income from employment, any dividends being taken, or which company the dividends being taken. If there are multiple ones, then of course we need tax return. But if there is only one rental income coming in and just employed income, then tax calculation and tax overviews will be fine. So what is tax calculation? So tax return gives you the full description of your submission of your income, where from, how much, what is the tax you paid, and all that kind of stuff. So it is very comprehensive tax return, full. It's also called, I think, SA 302. Then you have tax calculation, which is the snapshot actually of your income on a one page. And then you have a tax overview. These overviews are basically to show what tax you owed and whether you have paid it or not. So that is also very important. People don't understand why you need tax overviews. I mean, tax overview is basically once you've submitted your tax, then you owe a taxman that amount of your tax you need to pay. So if you haven't paid, most of the lenders will require you to pay that before you complete your mortgage, or even they issue the mortgage offer. Sometimes you can try to challenge and say you will pay before completion, and you can try to put that as a condition in the offer letter. But most of the lenders do require you to pay before they issue the offer. So that's the difference, and that's the requirement. But with regards to employed, if you are employed, then you need 3 months minimum pay slips matching your income coming into your bank statements, and we require recently 3 months bank statements and then 3 months pay slips. We also require P60. So if you've been with the same employer for the last couple of years, we need to see that over the year how much you have earned, because then also you might have actually increased in salary recently, but you might have not been getting maybe bonuses, which is not showing in the last 3 months pay slips, but you have been getting over the years on ad hoc basis. So P60 will have all your income details for the whole 12 months you have been receiving. So that's very, very important. Other information, so that's the most important information also is your credit file. Now, there are different agencies. There is Equifax, there is Experian, there is TransUnion, there is quite a few. But what we prefer our client to get us a checkmyfile.com. That's the web address. They actually pull 3 agency information in one report on one PDF file, and that is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So you can So we can see actually rather than just one, because sometimes some of the information is not being provided to one agency and then provided to another agency. So when we do the credit search, most of the systems the lenders have, they do search almost all of them, and if I have not seen, or we have not, or your mortgage broker haven't seen any mispayments on your file, or any late payments on any loans or credit cards or any mortgages, then we won't be able to source the right lender. So because then we can actually just go in a dark and just applying and sourcing with a lender who may not actually accept applications with any late payments within the last 3 months, or within the last 6 months, or within the last 12 months. So that's also a criteria, because one thing you need to understand, why mortgage broker is asking you for all that information is for your good, because he or she wants to give you a good service and right at first time. Because whenever you choose the right lender at the first time, then less credit searches on your name, and obviously it doesn't reduce your credit score as well. And this is why very important. And also, I have seen clients coming to me and saying, "Oh, I've got this credit file, but I never knew I missed this payment. I never knew." I mean, one of the client actually said to me, "I never knew I've got this on it was a mobile phone, but never actually took that. So perhaps somebody else used their name or something. So that is a fraud." So it's important you now and then do check your own credit file and see what's going on there. Because sometimes people don't check their credit file for years, and suddenly they find out there is something going on, and they've missed the payment. There was a direct debit, accidentally cancelled. All these things do matter. What mortgage will you get, which lender from, and what rate you're going to get. Because if your credit and you have missing payments and late payments, that all deteriorate your credit scoring and credit rating, and it doesn't allow you to go to a main high street lender with the very best rate. So that is something very important. My advice to you all is to keep checking your credit file, periodic basis. I mean, maybe after 6 months or something, once a year, twice a year, just to keep up to date with your commitments and how they've been paying. Also, make sure you do not miss any direct debit, and if you are paying any bills cash, or going to the bank or post office, try to set up direct debit for minimum payments. It is very important, because if it's a direct debit, so at least it's going to get paid every month, and you're not going to make any mispayments or any late payments at all. So that is very important. So the list of the information you need: tax calculations, tax overviews, tax returns, checkmyfile.com. So yeah, so that's the basic stuff really. And then of course we need to know how long you've been working for the employer, their name and addresses, email address, all that basic information we do require. Let's move on to lenders. Why there are so many lenders, and why can't you just go and have a mortgage with NatWest, have a mortgage with Barclays, Halifax, HSBC? They're these main high street banks. Why there are hundreds and hundreds of lenders out there who provide mortgages, residential mortgages? Perhaps there are lenders for non-regulated stuff are huge, that comes to hundreds, but maybe for residential regulated mortgages maybe less. However, still significant lenders, and they are keep coming. New lenders come all the time. So every lender has a different criteria. Okay, every lender has a different products. So, for example, let me explain this to you all about credit scoring. Now, so the clients normally go to Equifax or checkmyfile.com and suddenly comes back, oh, my is 999. You know, I have 700 score. I've got an 800. I've got a really good score. Okay, that is fine. You have a good score, but every lender has a different criteria of their own credit scoring system. So one thing always bear that in mind. And the way it works is a table of different things that shows that if you are a homeowner, if you are a private rented accommodation, it used to be a question actually, do you hold a debit card in the past, because it wasn't very very straightforward for anybody to get that. There used to be debit cards come with a checkbook and guaranteed check you could write and then pay in the shops, if you remember, quite old days. But that also, if you had that increases your score. So the lender have their own system where they score you for each questions they ask, depending on the answers. If you don't have a debit card or check card at the time, then of course you don't achieve that many scores. So if you have, then you speak, let's say 10 score, you get full 10 score. So that accumulates the number of scores you get. The system then tells you whether you are accepted or rejected, or for some reasons it can be referred. So there are 3 decisions on mortgage applications or in any loan applications as well, is accept, decline, or refer. So of course when it accepts, absolutely brilliant, happy days, and if it declines, then obviously need to find out the reason, and it's very difficult to overturn or appeal decline decisions done by the system with credit score, because if you don't meet the credit score, then of course there is very little a bank can do. And this is why it's very, very important that you answer all those questions correctly, and your mortgage advisor of course needs to be very careful when they actually keying the application for and processing the application for that reason. If it gets referred, so there is a good news is that it's not been declined. You can always appeal and find out why it's referred. The underwriter will require some further information, and they will liaise with your mortgage advisor and then take that further away. So that's 3 decisions on the lender's side, and this is the reason why there are so many lenders out there and have their own different criterias. And it is hugely emphasized that you must use your mortgage broker, qualified, who has experience, who can structure the deal well, because that's going to help you and your family. The role, of course, of the mortgage broker is not just the problem solving and matching your criteria and requirements with the correct lender and get you the mortgage, but also very emotional, because look, buying a house first time is a very emotional thing. It's a very one of the biggest decision you make in your life, for you, for your family, where you are going to live. You are calling that house as a home for you, for your family. So it is a very, very important decision to make, and this is why you really need a qualified and with well experienced mortgage advisor, mortgage broker, who can help you from start to finish. The whole mortgage process is very complicated. You go to your mortgage advisor, you provide all that information, they assess that whole information, they find out the right lender for you, then they process the application, provide you decision in principle, agreement in principle. Once that's done, you found the property, you agree on a purchase. At that point, your good mortgage advisor will liaise with your estate agent directly. They will keep them up to date, because the estate agent will keep nagging you all the time to say, where is your mortgage up to date, because obviously they want to get their completion done. And the good mortgage broker, they will liaise directly with the estate agent, keep them up to date all the time so that they don't bother you, and they also get a good confidence in you securing that property, because you have a mortgage advisor who's always already providing information to estate agent, and estate agent is providing information to the seller. So it all works like this, and it's very, very important. Once the estate agent is agreed, contract's been done and sent to your before that, full application is being submitted, then underwriter is back and forth with the mortgage broker, and answering all questions. If any issues they have to rectify. So that is also a very extremely, probably sometimes difficult process, where you have to keep going back and forward, and then some information you need your client, you contact your client and get that information through. At that time, once the underwriter is happy to proceed, then they instruct the valuation. So then good mortgage broker will liaise with the valuer, make sure the estate agent is aware, right contact details being provided, valuation is being booked, what date. Then they keep the date in their diary, they make sure that valuation has been done, confirming with the estate agent, and then they also try to follow up so that they can get the report as quickly as possible. So once the valuation report comes back to the lender informs you, this is the report, market value, what value is there any structural issue, is there any issue with the property. If everything is okay, they will then issue the offer. So once the offer is issued, technically that's where your mortgage advisor's job done, because they have given you the mortgage offer, you have got the offer. Now it goes to your solicitor, and then it's up to your solicitor to do the conveyancing with the seller's solicitor and the lender's solicitor. So all three solicitors are involved now, and they should carry on. However, it doesn't work like this. Well, it should do. However, the good mortgage broker will be following up with all these three solicitors at least once or twice a week to make sure things are progressing. Most of the time, there are things sit on the desk, and delays do happen for many reasons. Sometimes searches not come back, sometimes seller solicitor hasn't sent the contract, or sometimes the lender solicitor has not provided some legal documents, or something, could be anything. But because you have a good mortgage advisor, good mortgage broker, they will continue to follow this up for you until you get the key. And that is what we do. And I recommend you also look at your mortgage broker who actually does that, because I think the most important thing is get you the key of that house, the house you want to live in, the house your family wants to live in, and this is your first home, or even if it's a second home and you are expanding or buying a bigger house, it's your house where you want to live. And it is very important you choose the right broker who is knowledgeable, who is experienced, who is qualified, who is FCA regulated and authorized by FCA, Financial Conduct Authority. And that's what we do. My company is FCA regulated and authorized by FCA, and we try our best to give the best advice possible to our clients. And I will recommend you do the same and find the right mortgage broker for you, because this is the lifetime decision you make. I think I have covered quite a lot today, but if you've got any more questions, in the next program, you can ask me, and I'll be more than happy to answer any further questions. So thank you very much for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Good night.